Aloha, kākou. It is DJ Kano, and if you haven't guessed it, we're playing Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and yeah, I'm due another video for Division Two. But to be honest, my friends haven't really been playing that much, and when they do play, like I'm never on. It just hasn't been working out. I've really wanted to get back into the incursion on Division Two, but it wasn't working out. I might still get back and finish what I was doing in Division Two because I keep seeing updates about some great stuff. But if you are here for Division Two and you're like, "What's this Suicide Squad stuff?" Please let me know. I still have a pretty good amount of knowledge on making builds in Division Two. I don't know the new gear, but I can look into the new gear and I can always help make out builds and do things if you're interested. But we're shifting over to the Suicide Squad right now, and I will tell you that no, it's not the same kind of game. Well, same kind of game, not the same game. The shooting and the fighting and the looter shooter part, the live service part, that's all in here. So if you're like me and you used to play Division Two a lot, and you're just like, it's not the same anymore. This could be a possible option for you. Yeah, I know. For everybody I try to convince to play this game, the price point is high. It's a brand new game. The thing hasn't even been out for a month. But I I promise you that this game, it's hard to convince anybody. I'll just tell you that I'm not trying to say that you will think that it's worth the $70 that I paid, but um I think it is. Like I've spent a lot of money on games I thought were going to be good, that I was convinced were going to be good, but this one fits in. And you know what? Let me talk about it a little bit more and see if not necessarily convince you, but I can give you more evidence toward that notion and not just say it because I am clearly biased. So, okay, shooting, very straightforward, very easy to get into the action. It's not difficult. So if you're looking for shooting, it's like everything else you've seen. Difference is the style of traversal is meant to be incorporated with your combat. So let's see, like here's shooting, right? So shooting, blah blah blah. But if I were to go and find some bad guys, I'll just do this really quickly and not go over a big large batch. There's some like right out here somewhere. Right there, I see some bad guys right here. So what you can do, depending on your character and how they traverse, I can just stop right here. I'm hovering, by the way. Come back up. I can actually float around this thing like this. So I'm actually hovering. Do you see that I'm hovering? I'm hovering. And you're meant to have a more fast-paced fighting combat scenario. It's quite fun if you can get into it. Um, I will tell you, there's a lot of comments, a lot of people in the communities that I try to follow, that I try to see if I can support this game because I would love to see more content for this game. I hope they don't stop at season one just because a lot of people don't understand how this game works. So what it actually is you're supposed to use the traversal with the combat to make the combat super fast paced and non-stop. Like you just go. It can get chaotic, I'll be honest. And if chaos is not your thing, then it's not your thing. But if you're looking for a fast pace, I can roam around, go after guys and shoot them. I can go ahead and do fancy things like this. I have kind of like it's called a suicide strike, kind of a grapple attack. I can roll, dodge, get up here, jump around, go to the portal, drop a grenade, fly around some more. I can scale the sides of buildings. I don't have to use up my meter. There's a bar that you see that's filling up here with dead shot, but if I go ahead and scale the side of a building, that bar goes away and I have unlimited scalability. I can get to the top of buildings and just roam around, very Spider-Man-esque. I'm obviously not web slinging, but for the sake of Spider-Man can get to the top of any building in 2 seconds, and you can do combat very seamlessly and easily. So just like this, getting into it right here, I can fly around, get back up here, and they already killed it. Okay, they already killed the bad guy. So, but yeah, so there's very smooth, seamless gameplay. But I will tell you, there is a learning curve to the gameplay and the combat. So if you tried the game and you're like, I don't get it, I don't understand it, I chances are you didn't figure out the traversal combat situation because everybody's different. This is another thing that's cool. So I got Deadshot over here. I can switch between Deadshot, Harley, Shark, and Boomerang with ease. So I don't have to go back to a hub. I don't have to go back anywhere, and I can get used to the other traversals. And now I can just go ahead and float around everywhere. It's really not that bad once you practice, and it's going to take some practice. Don't expect to be an expert right when you get into the game. That's not realistic. So take your time, get into the game, and the traversal is very, very fun. Hey, come here. Come here. Slippery sucker. Come here. Where'd you go? He went right there. Okay, bye-bye. Resources. Or no resources. What happened? Okay, so I can climb back up really quickly. Float around. Scale the building. It's really, really fun if you can get used to it. So, anyway, that's what I'm going to say about that. Take your time. Take your time if you're learning the traversals. If you're not learning the traversals, then you're not getting what the game is intended for you. And if you don't like it, if you have tried it, you've practiced it, and you just don't like it, then that's fair too. You know, I'm not trying to say that anybody is being forced to play the game, but if you haven't given it a shot, and if you haven't learned what the game wants you to learn, then you're not giving it a fair shake. All right. So yeah, the traversal is very, very important. Practice that, get that down. That's number one. The story. I've already completed the story. I'm technically in end game stuff. Kill these guys really quickly. They're already dead. All right. Let me get to a safe spot so I can talk a little bit. So I'm already in end game. So I'm already building some levels. We have on the map, there's these locations you have to go to. I won't spoil what's happening in the story. In case you do want to play the story, I won't say any about that. But just know that once you get to the end game, there are going to be missions that you're going to do that are going to be, yes, potentially repetitive because it's the same missions. My hope is that if this game continues to do well, they'll be able to add more missions, more mission types, and do other things. But for now, we're left with a handful of different types of missions. There's a good amount, though. I think there's about like at least 7 to 10 different types of missions. So it's not like the same thing over and over again. Go ahead and dive in and get used to the mission type and master the mission. Be able to go ahead and destroy the mission in quicker time every time you do it. And not to mention when you get into these areas like this. I'm right next to one, I think. No, I'm not right next to it, but I'll come up here real quick, and I'll show you what's inside of there. So where is it? It is there. Okay, so I'll show you what's inside. So Harley's a little bit different, as you can see from the traversal, because she swings. She's a little bit slower in some ways than Deadshot because he has the jetpack. But we can go and just swing, and once we get to a wall, then we can get up there. Oh, I missed the wall. So sliding is key. You want to be able to slide while you're traversing, like this, and it keeps your momentum going. Always watch your bar while it's loading to make sure you don't run out of momentum. And if you are running out of momentum, like I did with Harley, as soon as you touch the ground and do a slide, you get your traversal bar back. That yellow bar comes back fully. So getting used to how to traverse and where to traverse is very important when getting through the game. There is no fast travel. There is no fast travel except back to the main hub, and you have to unlock that. So be very aware that there's no fast travel. The game wants you to use the traversal to get used to it because it's part of the combat. Okay, so getting in here. So this is the mastery. I'm not going to tell you what the details for the story and why we're here, but I will tell you that this is mastery. And when you get to the mastery level, you're going to have to push the difficulty. So the left side bar, right now, the last, I guess, recorded personal best was 13. I don't know why it's set to 7. So 13 was my personal best. So I have a couple more that I've unlocked. So this will increase the difficulty. But as you can see right there, right above in the red, it says Bane's Wrath with a number 2. That means that's the next tier of weaponry that I can acquire. So as you play the missions on a higher difficulty, you'll be able to unlock better weapons and better gear. So that's the name of the game, is just increasing your level, getting stronger gear, and redoing your builds to suit your gameplay. Very Division 2-esque, very looter shooter-esque for those that are looking for that customizable gameplay. So far, I've been liking the customizable gameplay, and that's the last big selling point that I think I'm going to try to get into here. So let's take a look at the loadouts and quickly take a look at Deadshot. So we're looking at Deadshot because I've built his build out the best I can right now with the gear that I have. So I'm still acquiring more gear, but with what I've got, this is what I'm doing. So one cool thing, I'm not going to go over every little piece, but I'll tell you this right here. So shield harvesting is, I'm looking at the talent on this piece. This is his basically his melee attack. Shield harvesting no longer gives shield pickups. So there's a way that when you shoot them in the leg, you're able to harvest shield from them. That's how you get your shield back. You don't have to do a pickup anywhere else, or you have to go to a chest. You have to shoot them a certain way to acquire it. So once you do a melee attack on these shield prepped bad guys, they'll drop shield and you can restore your shield. But in this case, instead of dropping shield, they will drop a damage buff instead. So the great thing is you can feel the damage buff. I can feel the increase in damage, which is fantastic. But now you'd be asking yourself, where am I going to get my shield from? Where am I going to get shield? Because I'm going to be very, very exposed. So there's another piece that happens to be right here on my shield mod, and it'll say right there, the talent is right below the green, blue, purple dot. It's the yellow icon there. Picking up ammo restores 10% shield. However, shield harvesting enemies drops 50% less shield pickups. So I'm not getting any of the drops anyway. So the second part is moot. But I get shield from picking up ammunition, which always drops. So anytime you kill bad guys, you always get ammunition. So I'm getting my shield from the ammunition along with ammunition itself, and I'm getting a damage buff by doing the shield harvest. So that's one little cool thing that's going on. The last big thing that's going on with this guy is if you look at this particular gun and the talent again below, green, blue, purple, this weapon can damage scavengers, troopers, and bombers. Just know that those are the different types of bad guys. Through their personal shields. There are some shielded dudes that if you shoot them while they're shielded, you're not going to do damage to them no matter what you do, no matter how strong your gun. You have to break their shield a little bit. And there's multiple ways to do that. I won't get into that now. But know that with this particular talent, I can just shoot right through their shields with the damage buff. I smash right through it. I don't have to even worry about it. It just changes the gameplay completely for this Deadshot character. And you can also do full damage through armor of tanks and choppers. So we have planes and tanks on the ground. Normally you have to shoot the weak point, the bubble, to get the most effect out of shooting them. But in this case, with this gun, I can just shoot right through their shielding and I can take them down much more quickly and more efficiently. So that is what I have for Deadshot. He's a strong damage build right now. Let me see if I had anything else on him. Not right now. I had a couple of other pieces that I was using with him. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that there was an overhaul bug. So when you basically reconfigure one of your guns, there's a bug that they haven't fixed yet, that it removes the talent from your weapon, basically rendering it very low grade and not as effective. So I had a better sniper rifle and I lost the ability, the talent on the gun, but that's okay. I was able to go ahead and find other pieces that make this build particularly strong. So that's the customization portion of it. The last thing I'll say about the builds itself. So I just saw this. It's harder to notice. I'm hoping a lot of people already have seen this, but I'm going to explain it. That this is especially for those that are already playing Suicide Squad. So if you take a look at, let's take a look at Shark's melee weapons. So right now, the one that I'm using, look at the damage. It's 2,400. So I was wondering, why is my gear on my Deadshot not as effective? I thought I was getting good gear, better gear, but I wasn't paying attention to the numbers as well as I thought I should have. So I was also hoarding a whole bunch of additional melee tools inside of my inventory that I didn't need to hold. I didn't need to hoard them because I'm looking at this right now. So this one is 1,700. I'm holding on to this, but look, I have a 2,400 equipped. Why am I doing that? That's a significant difference. And yes, some might say pay attention to the talent because the talent can give you additional boosts or different effects. That's important. But if you look through some of it, it's very basic talents. Some of these ones that are lower damage, they're not going to be useful to me when I start doing the mastery at the higher level. So if you're playing the game, you're struggling with mastery because you thought you had the highest level gear or you've maximized it in other ways. It's just bottom line. You haven't reached the tier 3 stuff yet. You haven't reached the higher grade legendary weapons, and it's not super clear. So you look at, let me do the comparison. Okay, so the right side's the one I have equipped. The left side's the one that I'm looking at right now. There are some similarities in their abilities and stuff like that, but the big drastic change is between the 2400 damage and the 1700 damage. That's a big change. So you need to pay attention to that. And part of it is I do now see in the very top in the name it says Master Home Run. The other ones that I'm seeing don't have Master in it. Let's see, do I have a home run? So I'm not sure what makes it a master. It must be like a much more rarer version of the legendary. I'm still learning a lot about this game, as you can tell. These pink ones are kind of more like a special, unique, maybe an exotic, if you will, if you're talking division language. They just has a different type of a talent. They tend to be stronger usually out of the box, but you're stuck with the same talent. So I could get as many of these pink ones, this particular one, the Two Faces Persuader, as much as I want. Same talent. There's other ones, but for now, this is what you get, and it's not necessarily better than legendary. So between yellow and pink, those ones are, take it or leave it. You got to figure out what the talents are and what the best specs are. So notice that even this one, you see this the Great Suspender. This one I must have acquired much longer ago because it's 809 damage, even significantly less. So I don't even know why I'm keeping it. I would go ahead and just deconstruct that and get rid of it. These other ones that are 1715, 1715, I may get rid of those too because I got a master home run. I don't need the other ones. These are all specific to Shark. They're not going to be shareable with the other characters anyway. So keep that in mind when you're playing the game. There is a lot of customization. There's a lot of reading too. It's not as easy to float through the different gear as you would think. So that is kind of a downside. But when you make the changes and when you acquire the gear and you put them into a build, you feel the difference, and that's more important than having to read. Reading is going to help you. Make sure you check. There are some pieces that people are equipping that actually drains your shield in order to make your grenade stronger and other things like that. So make sure you read. A lot of people are not reading the talents and checking through all of those different abilities. Do that, and you will guarantee get the most out of this game. Feel the damage, feel the difference, and be able to do the best you can. Combine that with the traversal attacks in combat. This is why I'm very much into this game, and hopefully you can get into it too. So if you have any questions beyond what I've already shared or comments, and you're like, I don't think you're explaining that correctly, or maybe you can explain this better, please leave a comment. I do have around 100 followers. I'm not the biggest channel, but I'm very grateful for everybody who has followed, who has checked out a video here or there. I only do this for fun. So I'm not concerned about having a huge fan base or anything like that. I just would love as much as possible to get more people to be interested in this game because I think there's a lot of potential, and I would love it if the devs had a reason to create more content. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your willingness to take a look at this game, and hope to see you in the game at some point. Take care, everybody. Until next time, shoot.